It's time to settle the madness. Here's Roscoe Smith with the block. Andrew Smith with the save. Hooker, he'll take the three, and it rattles out. In that defensive discipline. Van Zandt, no.
You may remember the 2011 Men's College Basketball National Championship game, when the Butler Bulldogs scored 41 points on 19% shooting and lost to UConn. UConn didn't win so pretty either.
Between baskets, Lamb feeling it, but not that time.
They made just 2 of 23 three-pointers at that year's Final Four. The year before that, Butler and Duke struggled from long range at the Final Four. And a year before that, Villanova and Michigan State did too. People wondered why.
0 for 6 from out here, 0 for 7.
For the first time in modern history, the 2009, 10, and 11 Final Fours were played in the middle of enormous domed football stadiums. Players, coaches, pundits, and fans began to speculate that shooters were struggling from long range because they weren't used to the weird and distant backdrops behind each hoop. The phenomenon became known as the dome effect, and it feels like we hear about it at the end of every NCAA tournament. But is college basketball's dome effect real? Or do people simply blame the football stadium when teams don't shoot well? First, some history. The 1996 Final Four at Continental Airlines Arena in New Jersey was the last one held in a normal basketball arena. Championship game attendance that year was a little over 19,000. From 1997 to 2008, Final Fours were played in bigger domed stadiums, usually football stadiums, with the court laid down in one corner or end zone. This setup created Final Four crowds of 40 and 50,000 plus. Starting with 2 regionals in 2008 and the Final Four in 2009, the NCAA moved the court from the end zone to midfield. This allows people to sit all throughout the stadium, and it's led to record crowds of 70,000 plus. The setup's been used at the Final Four ever since, and as we saw, it became conventional wisdom that it creates a terrible shooting environment, particularly from long range. Most dome effect conversation relied on anecdote, a few infamous shooting performances, or evidence from only a couple of NCAA tournaments. But what story do the numbers actually tell? Fact number 1. Forget everything you heard, because the truth is that late round NCAA tournament teams shoot threes better in football stadiums with the court at midfield than they do anywhere else, including regular basketball arenas. Now, to be fair, the court at midfield setup is used in later rounds, which usually means better teams. So couldn't these teams simply be better at three-point shooting to begin with? To account for that, we need to look at how teams shot in these venues relative to their season averages. Shooting performance declines pretty much across the board in later rounds because teams are up against top competition. But on average, three-point field goal percentage falls by slightly less in domes with the court at midfield than it does in standard arenas.
Stauskas lines up another three. He is on fire. That is his.
Fact number 3. Despite being the subject of so much suspicion and blame, most stadiums that have used the court at midfield setup have had less of a negative effect on threes than the average late round tournament venue. In fact, 5 standard arenas have had a worse effect on threes than the worst stadium with the court in the middle, including Quicken Loans and Oracle Arena, where the NBA's Cavaliers and Warriors kill it from long range. Nobody's criticizing those venues for messing with three-point shooting at the tournament. When teams don't shoot well there, we chalk it up to good defense or an off night. It's easy to blame the domes when teams can't hit shots. You got that tiny little court in the middle of those giant football stadiums, and it kind of feels like it should be weird for shooters. But in reality, NCAA tournament teams struggle from long range more often in regular basketball arenas. Only there, People can't scapegoat the venues. If you don't believe the numbers, go back and check out Villanova and North Carolina's three-point shooting display in the 2016 title game, or Gonzaga at the 2017 Final Four. And if you don't think we should draw conclusions based on a couple of memorable games, then none of us should have believed in the dome effect in the first place.
3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship.
Thank you all for checking out our first video. Feel free to drop comments, questions, and feedback down below. You can read more about the dome effect and other sports and non-sports topics by visiting Eldorado at eldo.co. Don't forget to subscribe.